My name is Neil Moorcraft. This is Automate, and in this final module of week 4, we're going to talk about automated workflows. So we're going to use Zapier to do that. Zapier is a bit of middleware that connects pretty much any app with any other app, and then we're going to add a first app, and then we're going to talk about how ultimately you can start thinking about zapping everything. This isn't just email automation or marketing automation, far from it. This is business process management and business automation. So when you think of a zap, it might be that you have an order taken that might zap a task for someone in your office to send a welcome pack or something like that. It doesn't have to be email related, but we're going to have a look at Zapier. I'm going to show you that platform if you haven't heard of it already, and as I say, we're going to dive in, have a look at the account, create a zap and set a zap up so you can see just how easy that is. So make sure, of course, that to start with you are in your Asana workspace, because say the links that you need are going to be in there, but assuming you are, you can head off over to Zapier, and this is their homepage. Now, before you log on, if you're not familiar with Zapier, you might want to spend a little bit of time exploring the site or Googling a YouTube video or something just to get a better understanding from them. You can also go over to the Toby.exchange site. Now, I've just said that, and I think I've got some information on there in the solution matrix. So let me just check if that's the case. I think that is the case. Marketing technology. Yeah, so there's a video actually on here on the Toby space if you want, and a bit more information about Zapier and the bits and bobs that they do. I won't watch that video now because that would be pointless, but you can go off and do that, I say, if you're totally unfamiliar with what Zapier does. But as I say, in simple terms, it connects one app to another app with a trigger and an action so that you can do certain things. So it might be that you've got a contact form on the website, and as someone does that, you want that information to go into Active Campaign, and then you want to notify someone, and then you want to do something else and that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. So let's dive into my Zapier. Now, I'm already logged in, and when you do log in, you'll start to see this menu here. Don't worry about all this stuff down the side here. Initially, we just want to go and make a zap. Now, depending on how you do this, you might want to connect your apps up first. So if you've got nothing in this, of course, if it's a brand new account, you might think, oh, actually, it makes sense to start with to connect your Active Campaign, to connect your WordPress site, to connect any other platforms that we're using, Asana, Calendly, Facebook, etc, 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 and you'll see that a lot of these apps are free. Some of them do offer are a premium service, so you do have to pay for it, but initially I'm pretty sure that you can get everything you need within the free plan, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to come up and make a zap, and we're going to keep this fairly simple for now, because I say this is maybe your first zap ever, but once you get your head around it, you're going to see that they're kind of quite addictive, because you can start to really automate all of those things that become time consuming. All of a sudden can become automated, and all you have to do is think about it once, map it out, put the process down on paper, and then create the zap, test it. Once it's working, it's going to carry on working forever. So we're looking for Active Campaign as our initial trigger. We're going to say when someone comes through the Unified Communications lead magnet, and I'm just going to get the site up so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, because there's two main calls to action. Ultimately, I'm going to zap both of those, and in fact a lot more besides, but initially what I'm going to do is connect this form down here, wherever it is, this form here. So when someone submits this form, that information we know already goes into Active Campaign. What I'm saying is when that goes into Active Campaign, I want to get a little text message to say we've got a new lead, because that's, I like my phone going bing, I've got a new lead, and that's a nice easy way, say, initially to set it up. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to come back into here, Active Campaign, that's fine, choose the event. Now in this instance, it's going to be when a new contact gets added. You can see that you've got all these various different triggers down there, which are all based on the platform that it's pulling it from. So new contact is added to list. That's exactly what we want. And then it's going to ask me to select the account. Now, I've got a couple of different accounts, so I'm going to have to connect a new one. And as long as I'm logged in, which I think I've already done, this process should be fairly straightforward for me, as it would be for you. We need the API keys, so I've got to come into my active campaign, which is here, and come down to the site, go into the developer settings, and just get those API keys and pop them in there. So we've come out of Zapier now, we've gone into active campaign, and we're just waiting for this to load so I can see. Actually, I was in the wrong box. I'm looking for the developer tab. Oh, there it is. And then we're just going to copy this information as we did previously into our website, copy that over into the API key there, and then the next one there. And be careful with this because it actually extends past this, so just make sure when you copy that you copy the whole thing, because otherwise, of course, it's not going to work. But once that's done, you'll see it just connects automatically. That's fine, and we can come back in here and continue. Active campaign 3, I'm going to rename those. And what I'm saying is that, yeah, the setup trigger is coming in. This is going to pull from the information in active campaign. So if there's more than one list in active campaign, come into this and we look at our lists. There, if we look at our list, if you had more than one list in there, you're going to see all of that as a drop-down menu. But for now, let's get rid of that one. I don't know why I've got that tab open as well. That's maybe what was confusing me. That master list is fine. Continue. And then it says, okay, once we've got that information now, what do you want to do with it? So we can test the trigger, and that's just going to make sure that the connectivity between Active Campaign and Zapier works. And it's just going to look for a contact record, and if it does, it's going to say that's fine. And if it didn't, there would be a flag saying there's a problem, and ultimately that problem could only be due to your API key. So as long as you've got the information right, that's it. So that's fine. So we're going to carry on. And then we'll say, well, what do we want to happen? So we've got a contact list added to that. What do we want to do with it? For this instance, as I say initially, I just want to be notified that that's happening, and I want to be notified via an SMS message. So Zapier have that SMS already pre-built into their platform. So all I have to do is say I want to send an SMS message to my mobile number, and it will do that. So we can just literally just go through this process. So the from number doesn't matter, it can be a random number. I think you can set it so it actually comes from the same number every time, and of course if you do that, you could save that contact in your phone, and I could set it up as new lead for 186 Cloud, for example, and then I can put in here, hey Neil, another new lead has just been generated for Stephen at 186 Cloud, and then a little bit of kudos for me. Right, so that's the message I'm going to get. That's fine. It's going to give me the first name, last name, and email address. I can show you these other options, but we're not going to get that anyway from that form. So that's just going to give me that data. Because of where this is coming from, if there was more data available, you could theoretically craft this message. So for other clients, for example, when I've got leads coming through and I've got a lot more data, so I've got name, phone number, price, type, all that kind of stuff, sometimes these messages are crafted to say, hey client, such and such has just requested a price on so and so, and has already been quoted XYZ. So you can really start to see, I don't need to get too much involved in that. I'm delivering everything I want, and then on from that I'll then create another Zap, and on we go. So I can continue with that, that's fine. And if I test that action now, you might hear my phone go, or maybe not because my phone's on mute. There it is, and that's just come through on my mobile phone. So I now know that works and that's set up. So that's great. So at the moment, I'm going to just turn that Zap on. And as of now, anybody that comes through the landing page that fills in this form is going to come straight through to me as a notification, as well as going into Active Campaign, as well as going into a sequence. Now, once we get to this stage, and as I say, if your eyes have just been open to what you can do with Zapier, you're going to start to think of all the different things you can map out and zap in your business. And yeah, you can get carried away, so you don't want to create a zap for the sake of it. But what you do want to do is start thinking about, well, okay, how could I improve the efficiencies of my business by saying, maybe when something happens over here, tell someone over there, or maybe when something when I take an order, who else might need to know about that? Or if I've got a new customer, what more can I be doing? And you can really start then to plan it out. I tend to use the Guru Funnel Builder software as a mapping tool to help me visualize that, because sometimes it can be quite hard. And what you're trying to do is get that flow out on paper, so you can say, well, okay, yeah, when someone comes through a lead form on WordPress, it goes into ActiveCampaign, it triggers an automation up here, and say Guru is great for that. So you don't necessarily have to use it with the simulator behind it and as a revenue generating tool. You might just want to use it as a visual editor, and as I say, I do that. So go off, create that first app. You should find that pretty straightforward. Again, if you get stuck at any point, use the comments box below to ask your questions, or dive into Asana and mention me, and I or one of my team will come back and make sure you get the answer you need. And if all else fails, jump on a call and I will help you personally. But yeah, it's starting to get exciting now. This is the end of week 4. We're moving swiftly into week 5, and very quickly this all starts to come together. So I'm really excited for you. Go off, do that task, and I'll see you in the next module.